Hello and howdy, Internet. What is up? Today, I want to talk about Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh! And how Dragon Ball is a sequel to Yu-Gi-Oh! What's that I hear you asking? Am I serious? This is a joke, right? Wrong. I'm serious. Serious as a heart attack. These two franchises, with their different genres, different influences, and entirely different creators, are connected. By delving into the combined 1,782 episodes and 23 feature films that these two series have produced, we can prove that they are, in fact, one. That the earliest Shadow games set in motion a chain of events that sent us rocketing towards the Tournament of Power and beyond. And I intend to prove it. And to absolutely no one's surprise, we're going to start by talking about dragons. Dragons play a huge role throughout both series. Eternal dragons, legendary dragons, shadow dragons, blue eyes white dragons. They are everywhere. But what if I told you that there was one dragon that appeared in both shows? A dragon so powerful that it lit the flames of creation, brought all life into the universe, and forged the first Dragon Balls. The dragon god, Zalama. Alright, this one might take some explaining. We first learn of Zalama in Dragon Ball Super from Zuno, a nigh omniscient sage who acts as a guide for those seeking knowledge. Prior to the Tournament of Destroyers, Bulma travels to his world and discovers that Zalama created the Super Dragon Balls, planet-sized orbs used to summon an eternal dragon capable of granting absolutely any wish that the user can imagine without limitations or restrictions. If you have even a passing familiarity with the series, these wish orbs work the exact same way as almost every other set of Dragon Balls. Gather all 7 balls, say some magic words, meet a magic dragon, get some magic undies, and then the balls scatter until someone else rounds them up again. And while this is only explicitly stated in the English dub, there is evidence to suggest that the dragon inside of the balls is actually Zalama himself. For example, we've seen this divine beast undo the magic of the Omni King, Grand Zeno, a god who has casually erased no fewer than 14 universes since taking the job. None of the other gods we've run into could pull off that kind of stunt, and yet this guy doesn't even break a sweat. If that isn't godly, I don't know what is. Moreover, let's take a look at this dragon's only other known name. Super Shenron? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? If this was the very first eternal dragon to be created, why does his name have a qualifier on it? It only makes sense if you're comparing him to another being named Shenron. And speaking of the OG lizard in a ball, no one involved in creating him knew anything about the Super Dragon Balls. The Kais, Dende, the formerly nameless Namekian known as Kamikolo, Big Green, Bigger Green, and the rest of the Namekians couldn't tell Bulma anything about them, indicating that the name Shenron wasn't some homage to the original dragon, but instead a lazy characterization used by the Z-Fighters who don't speak the divine language. So is it really a stretch to imagine that this guy might have a more divine title? But what about Yu-Gi-Oh! You can be forgiven if you're drawing a blank on where Zalama shows up in this franchise, as he's never mentioned by name. To find him, we need to go back to the very beginning. The beginning of the universe! In Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, we discover that before time began, there was only an ancient being known as the Numeron Dragon. This divine creature poured its very life force into the fires of creation and gave birth to all reality. It weaved together the stars and the cosmos, gave life to the universe, and created the first duel monsters. When its work was at last complete, the Numeron Dragon found itself weak and defenseless for the very first time. As it looked upon its wondrous creation, it shed a single tear and allowed its body to die. Hidden away within the tear was the Numeron Code, the collected memory, emotion, and knowledge of the creator dragon. In essence, its very soul. The code plummeted through time and space until it found its way to a little blue world called Earth, where it crash-landed and suffused the planet with an energy known as chaos. In the subsequent millennia, the Numeron Code passed into legend. Among the inhabitants of Astral World and Baryon World, it became known as the greatest power in the universe. A power capable of changing reality to the user's will, or, put poetically, granting any wish. And how does one go about unlocking this wish-granting power? by gathering the scattered Mytharian number cards. The 7 Mytharian number cards. We see this in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, when Kite and Mizar use the Mytharian numbers to not only gain access to the Numeron code, but also resurrect the Numeron Dragon as Nixie's monster card, which Mizar later gives to protagonist Yuma Tsukumo. So already, we're seeing some key overlap between Zalama and the heretofore unnamed Numeron Dragon. Strikingly similar designs and coloration, divine power on a cosmic scale, the power to grant wishes after collecting 7 magical items. This is starting to sound like more than just coincidence, but we're just getting started. Let's talk about the Omni King for a second, because he represents something of a thematic crater in the Dragon Ball mythos. Despite being the most powerful being in the known multiverse by far, at no point in either Dragon Ball Super's anime or manga is it ever stated that he himself created anything. In fact, all we've ever seen this childlike murder god use his power for is to destroy, colliding planets with one another in order to play games of marbles, and wiping out entire universes for entertainment's sake. He behaves much more like a god of destruction than one of creation. And Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Super, is a series that thematically focuses on balance. Yin and yang, good and evil, creation and destruction. Every god of destruction has an equal and opposite number in the form of a Supreme Kai. So if Zeno isn't responsible for both, is it really hard to believe that Zalama, the only being ever known to check the Omni King's power, might be the other side of that coin? But wait, there's more! Let's stick a pin in dragons for now and talk about evolution. We're told that the Saiyan race originated on planet Sadala, but did it? In 1961, American astrophysicist Dr. Frank Drake developed a probabilistic argument called the Drake equation, a formula for estimating the possible number of active civilizations in the Milky Way. Using this formula in conjunction with the data from the Kepler space mission, scientists currently estimate that the number could be as high as 40 billion planets capable of supporting human-like life, with 11 billion of them orbiting Earth-like suns. Despite that, the probability of seeing a race evolve on a direct parallel track with humans at the same time as humans is almost 0%. Even with 40 billion chances, there are just too many variables for the evolutionary deck to be shuffled the exact same way twice. Especially to the point where these two species could interbreed with one another. Human beings are a race of apes that share a common ancestor with other simian species, but take that common ancestor out of the historical equation due to a change in geography, natural disaster, or any of a million other possible factors, and suddenly humans aren't the dominant species on Earth anymore. The fact that our planet just happened to be the perfect size and shape of rock located in the perfect orbit around the perfect sun for our exact development was a once-in-a-cosmic lifetime chance. For Dragon Ball, where there are only 27 inhabited planets left in Universe 7, these astronomically long odds drop from nearly impossible to right out of the realm of possibility. More importantly, look at the worlds these species developed on. Their planets have different levels of gravity, the terrain is different, the skies are different colors, indicating that plants would grow using a different photosynthetic mixture. Different plants would almost certainly result in radically different food supplies and geography, altering the evolutionary path of the species there from any species on Earth. So why am I talking about evolution? Well, let's backtrack to what I said about chaos. This energy soaked into planet Earth after the Numeron code crash-landed there, but what is it? We're told that it's the source of all life and closely tied to emotion. Like life itself, it's inherently unpredictable and can have a corrupting influence on those it touches. The power was first discovered by the ancient civilization of Atlantis, which was ultimately destroyed by it before being rediscovered by the people of Egypt, who eventually deemed it so dangerous that they felt the need to seal it away for all of time. Centuries later, the hunt for the Numeron code began, and traces of chaos began to emerge in the form of the Emperor's Key, the 99 number cards, and the Warlords of Barian World, allowing the heroes and villains of that story to tap into Chaos's power. And what exactly did that look like? Golden hair, a vibrant, shimmering aura, and a sudden storm of power that can vanquish previously unconquerable foes. Yuma Tsukumo, a pint-sized kid from Earth, became the first Super Saiyan of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. For viewers who may not be as up on Dragon Ball, let me explain. We first learn the legend of the Super Saiyan from the Prince Vegeta, an unstoppable power that lies dormant within those of Saiyan blood that can only be harnessed through a transformation. Shortly thereafter, we witness Goku become the first new Super Saiyan in more than 1,000 years. His hair shoots up and fades to gold as his body is suffused with brilliant light. More importantly, he suddenly possesses the power to dominate foes who seemed insurmountable mere moments before. And what drives this legendary transformation? The power of life and raging emotion. Or, put another way, chaos. I mean, seriously, just look at this kid for a minute. The dual gazer scouter, the bodysuit under protective armor. We see all the signs of the Proto-Saiyan race right here in this young boy. A boy who happens to belong to a spacefaring race interested in exploring extraterrestrial life. And just like the Saiyan forms from Dragon Ball Z, the Zexal transformation ability is one that comes in 3 progressive stages. 1, 2, and 3. Albeit somewhat altered since Yuma achieved these forms while in a state of fusion with Astral. This human Super Saiyan all but confirms that the Saiyans evolved from ordinary humans on Earth. I mean, at this point, the only thing that could more solidly place these two franchises in the same continuity would be if someone in Yu-Gi-Oh! Directly mentioned the Dragon Balls or so. Oh. So connecting all of these dots, let's put together our timeline. At the beginning of time, the dragon god Zalama created life, the universe, and everything, before his first body died and his spirit crash-landed on Earth, drenching the planet in chaos energy. The chaos gave rise to the ancient civilizations of Atlantis and Egypt, who used it to develop the first Shadow Games. After sealing away the chaos, Earth continued to evolve naturally until Maximilian Pegasus uncovered the archaeological remains of the Shadow Games and used them to invent the game of Duel Monsters. Shadow Games and Chaos Energy returned to the world in limited quantities, thanks to the existence of Chaos Totems like the Millennium Items and the Orichalcos Stone. Many decades later, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal sees the rediscovery of Chaos as the war between Astral World and Baryon World spills over onto Earth. Yuma Tsukumo and his partner Astral are able to harness Chaos Energy in order to become the very first Super Saiyan, using this power to battle the Baryon Emperors and win the war. The war concludes with the revival of Zalama and the return of Chaos, meaning that humans no longer require dual discs and technology to interact with or manipulate their own energy. Flight, energy manipulation, and transformation all become possible starting right here. At the conclusion of the series, Zalama, still weakened from his exertion of creating the universe, but keenly aware of his need to be present in the multiverse, leaves Earth and builds the Super Dragon Balls off of the same 7-item pattern he used to create the Mytharian numbers. This would allow the gods to call on his power in the event that he was needed, but would allow him to ultimately remain dormant and continue to recover. Once the balls were made, he scattered them across his home of Universe 7 and its counterpart, Universe 6. Post-Zexal, the first space explorers set out to colonize the cosmos, eventually settling on and colonizing planet Sadala. There, their evolutionary path began to diverge from the humans on Earth, resulting in the expression of a tail and the ability to shapeshift into their great ape form. And the two subsets of humanity would remain separated from one another, until the day when Earth was visited by a little monkey boy named Goku. Off the top of my head, connecting these two franchises fills so many plot holes within both. Why are there doppelgangers of previously established characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5? Because Arc 5 takes place on Universe 6's Earth, obviously, which the angel Vados described as having been destroyed by a pointless and stupid war. Looking at you, Zark. Where did the Winged Dragon of Ra and Slifer the Sky Dragon come from? From Zalama and the Numeron Code, judging by their similar appearances. How is Dragon Ball's technology so much more advanced than our world's? Because it takes place in Yu-Gi-Oh's distant future, long after momentum reactors have allowed humanity to achieve a new industrial revolution. The list goes on and on and on. And if you want to see more terrible theories, hit me up in the comments section or on Twitter. I honestly had a blast making something this weird and nonsensical, and would love to do more in the future if that's what you guys want to see. And what do you think about the relationship between Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh? Was any of this even remotely convincing? Does this close any other plot holes or contrivances that I didn't mention, or did I just break the universe in a manner that no man should ever have attempted? If you're enjoying the content on this channel, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and tell all your friends. It genuinely helps me put out content more regularly and makes me feel good inside. Everybody stay safe and stay healthy, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!